Hello, everyone. My name's Hank Suttala,
And I'm Casey McBride.
and we're here with another fun episode of Stir Crazy Shamans. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode 79. We're going to be at 100 before we know it of Stir Crazy Shamans.
Oh yeah.
And if you like, take a moment, share the show, start a watch party if you want to help contribute out. And we welcome in every show your questions and comments. It helps drive the energy to wherever our conversation needs to go that day. But Casey had a remarkable experience yesterday, so we're going to
Yeah.
start with some reality shenanigans.
So yesterday, well, I gotten a bunch of herbs from Spirit Apothecary on a little adventure that me and Mary Ford took out there, and one of the herbs that um, I had never really thought to be a very potent herb or anything, holy basil. Also known as Tulsi. You see it in tea bags at like the grocery stores nowadays. Tulsi tea. Anyway, it's really delicious tea. But well, it's an adaptogen, so it helps your body adapt to how you deal with stress. And I had actually taken it in capsule form before, like an extract version of it. And from what I remembered, it was just a kind of like very mildly relaxing herb. So I made a tea out of it yesterday, late morning, early afternoon, and it was really delicious. And then when the effects of the tea started to mingle with my energy, I just had like an uncomfortable amount of energy just surging through my body, and not just like spiritual energy, but like amped up, like I need to go run up a mountain energy. And I messaged Hank, and I was like, I think I'm gonna go on a big hike, and then when I get home, I'm gonna have like 3 beers, and then I'm gonna like do all this stuff. And I'm just gonna have a party, and I was in this really weird. And I'm not the kind of person that is often in that mood to do that anymore these days, like that sort of thing. But so anyway, so I'm all kinds of amped up, and I went on a hike, and I was practically like running up these hills through the metro parks, and even when I was like hiking, I was like as close to running as you could be without actually running, because I wasn't in the right shoes for it, or I probably would have been running. So anyway, ran around the metro parks for a while, came home, and I was still like, all right, you know what? I'm really amped up. I think I'm gonna have a few beers, and it's been a long time since I've had a beer, and like I'm gonna just party tonight. And then I was like, all right, but first, you know what? I just got back from a hike, need to replenish the body, so I'm gonna have a big smoothie first. So I made a smoothie, drank that, and then I was like, all right, I'm gonna have a cup of tea that'll help me to hydrate. Then I'm gonna start partying. And I sat down and I drank this cup of tea, not the same herb, by the way. So I sat down and was just drinking a relaxing cup of tea, and then I like finished, and I was like, okay, you know what? I think I'm pretty much calmed down from that. I don't need to do any of that stuff. So I didn't end up doing any of the partying. Didn't have any beer or anything else, and then went to bed pretty early. Around, I don't know, it was like a little after 9. I went to bed,
Now, just
and
to pause here, at this point, I know about the party, and this morning I'm messaging him like, we're doing Stir Crazy Shamans. I'm like getting no response, and I'm like, wow, that must have been some party. He's probably like, he has the equivalent of a vegan hangover here, and so that's why we're on so late. We had planned to be on at like 9:30, but
yeah.
anyway, I digress. Go ahead.
So so I slept, and I think I probably woke up at some point, like normal time during the morning, like went to the bath. I don't even really remember doing it, but I probably went to the bathroom and like had the intention of waking up, and then hit the pillow and was like right back out. That must have been around like 5, 6 in the morning or something. And and then I was trapped in between two realities. So I was very aware that I was laying in my bed and sleeping, or at least not moving. But at the same time, I was equally aware of this other reality I was in, where Hank was there. And we were just talking about all of this stuff, and then the conversation started to turn toward like, "Hey, I'm like stuck halfway in between these two realities." And then Hank, you were like, you said to me, well, you have to choose. Like, if you're stuck in indecision, then you're going to be stuck in between these two realities forever. So you have to make your choice. Like, even if you change your mind, you'd have to choose, like right now. And I didn't know which reality was the right one, or not the right one, but which reality was the one I desired to be in. So so there was actually, I remember one point thinking, well, in that other reality, I'm just laying there in bed, and in this one, I'm hanging out with Hank, so we could probably go on all kinds of adventures. So I'll probably want to be in this one where I'm hanging out with Hank. And I was like this close to choosing that one, and then right at the last second, something in me was like, you know what? No, I think that other reality is the one I'm supposed to go back to.
Now, what the question on everybody's mind is: does the Hank in this other reality have hair?
He did not. Oh, but it was really, and that was just like the part towards the end where I ended up like choosing this reality and then finally waking up. But before that, there was all kinds of really weird and wild stuff going on that I can't really explain. But yeah, and then I picked this reality, so here I am. I'm here now, and I don't know if any of the viewers watching previously were from the other reality, but tune into this reality from now on if you want to catch Crazy Shamans. So anyway, so yeah, I got up and then I messaged Hank and I was like, dude, I normally wake up like 6 or 7 in the morning. Like 7 is usually like if I slept in. And I did not wake up until past 10 a.m. today. So I was in bed, like sleeping from like 9 p.m. until 10 a.m. It's like 13 hours.
No, I figured you must have had like an early day at the chiropractor's office and you were seeing clients and you just were, couldn't message me. But I messaged him like, "Are we doing this today?" Because we had just said we were going to make a commitment to try to be on every day again because we both were getting busy with clients and things. And then here he's not responding. I'm like, "Oh no." Maybe he did really party last night and he's like just passed out.
Yeah. So and then I messaged him before I even told him I think I was stuck in between the realities. I messaged him and I was like, I just woke up. It's like I never sleep in the city. I just woke up, and then I was like, all right, I'm gonna have breakfast, and then if you want to do Stir Crazy Shamans, we can. And I don't know why I just walked into the kitchen and like first thing in my sight was this little bag of mini Oreos. So I had like some mini Oreos and some chocolate pea milk, and then like a breakfast burrito, and that was my breakfast. And then Hank messaged me back, and he's like, wow, that must have been some party you had last night. I was like, dude, I didn't even party.
Well, welcome back to this reality.
Yeah,
I think you picked the one that's going to have a lot more opportunities for sacred Puklei, but I don't know. And you get to play in the other reality a different time, so it's not like you're not going to get to experience it all.
right. Oh, but yeah, it was that was wild. I couldn't, and I knew like I had the sense that like I was asleep for way longer than I normally am, and like was at times really aware of the body that was sleeping, and it was weird. I was just like I couldn't. I had to pick, and I couldn't decide.
And do you believe it was a combination of the herbs that you had experienced, or what precipitated this, or was it just a one-off random occurrence? I'm curious what you think.
Yeah, I don't really know. I mean, I have had experiences like that of like kind of being stuck in between two realities in the past, like and then sleeping in really late. That's not the first time that that's happened, but it was the first time that it was that vivid, and I was that aware of what was going on.
And the cool thing, if and when the next time occurs, you can come back to this reality earlier in the day so you don't miss stuff. I mean, that was just you don't have to. You can have your alternate reality and still wake up on time.
Well, we're here. We made it to Stir Crazy
We
Shaman,
did.
so
We
it's all
did.
good.
It is all good.
But
Yeah.
yeah, no. As far as it being the herbs that I was taking, I don't know. I don't. Who knows? I don't know if that had an influence on it or not. I mean, they were obviously interacting with my energy field still. So.
Maybe we should start a case study, and we can see if there's people that are interested in being in a group that all agree to to have a spiritual experience with these things, and we all do like holy basil at the same time, like each day, and then we see like, wow, if we have all these crazy alternate realities, maybe we can start mapping some of the other extraordinary things that these plant medicines can do.
Oh, that'd be cool.
Yeah.
Although I don't think I'll touch holy basil in particular for a while because that was a while. It was like my whole day was all wacky because of that.
Well,
But
it makes me want to go get some right now.
I got a whole bag right here. But no, that was in. Oh, I meant to tell you, I didn't. So I am one of these people when we go on hikes where the mosquitoes just love me. Like they can't keep their little inject
Yes.
this off of
And to
me.
put this in perspective, there were times that we were completely set up to do an episode recorded in the woods, and Casey's like, I can't do it here. And we got to
Yep.
move somewhere else because the mosquitoes are just like, he just sits down and he gets swarmed. And
They
you could,
they yeah they just like as soon as I sit down, they're all they just land, and yeah, I get destroyed. And so Hank a few times had he said, "Man, why didn't you bring some lavender essential oil or like something like that? Because like that helps to repel mosquitoes." And I think I'm like, I have a whole collection of like 70 different essential oils. Like I should make something. So before I went on my hike yesterday, I sat down. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna make a bug juice. And so I just went and did a quick Google search of like essential oils that repel mosquitoes. So I had citronella oils. I put citronella oil, eucalyptus, rosemary, lemongrass, lavender, something else, and then put that in a bottle, and then like alcohol to fill the rest of it. Shook it up in a little spray bottle, and then right as I got out there, I forgot about it, and then I got bit by one mosquito, so I knew they were out and biting. And as soon as I got bit by that first one, I just spritzed this essential oil blend all over my body. And I went on a hike through paths, sometimes that I purposefully avoid because I know there's a lot of mosquitoes on them. But I kind of wanted to test it out. So I went on some of these paths where I know it's darker and it's a better environment for mosquitoes. I did not get touched by a single mosquito.
that's awesome. Did I ever tell you the story about my lavender experience in Alaska?
No.
So I jokingly, when I teach aromatherapy, I start by saying lavender saved my marriage, right? And jokingly, of course, but because there's only two types of vacation when your wife is from Germany. It's either you go to Germany or you meet her family somewhere and you vacation. So we met her parents in Alaska. We rented a mobile home and we're driving all throughout the state or whatnot. And there's 21 varieties of mosquitoes in Alaska. They even have like tourist shirts. They have like all 21 varieties, and it says, the state's national bird because there's so many mosquitoes up there. And they have often cutter and the aerosol sprays, and they're spraying themselves, and they're still getting bit and like killing two or three at a time. And my wife and I just had a little bottle of lavender, and I put a drop on my wrist. I do that. I put it on my neck, and that's all I did. And my wife got bit maybe once. I got bit 0 times, and her parents are suffering with these mosquitoes for like almost the whole time. Now back. Just rewinding a little bit, prior to this trip and before we got married, they Googled me and they see Hank Suttle with all these psychic fairs and healing things, and they literally thought their daughter was marrying a lunatic. So I just want to set the stage for this. The second to last day, maybe the third to last day, her dad finally comes up to me and he's like, "What is that stuff you're using?" And I'm like, "Oh, it's lavender. It's a natural insect repellent. Would you like to try some?" And he did, because they were, getting eaten alive, and they stopped getting bit. They didn't get bit at all. And her dad actually told me, he's like, "Hank, I don't understand everything you do, but maybe you're not so crazy." And that was the first
Oh, I
time
love it.
that they started like opening up to all the crazy things I do. And that's one thing that I love about essential oils, herbs, and actually sound healing, because there's science behind it. And if you do have somebody that is really closed off to the energy world, they are things that you can speak to from the science world that they can have an experience with. And then once they develop a rapport with you and a relationship with you, might be open to other things. So I call them, these are those bridging modalities that go from the scientific world to the metaphysical world. I love it. Three episodes now we're talking about herbs and oils and things. We were actually mentioning yesterday we might make it a regular thing, at least once a month or once every, I don't know how frequently, but have an episode where we talk about the herbs and oils and things like that, and really dedicate a show to it.
Yeah, but no, I was amazed. It's funny because like a lot of things are like programmed to think certain things have to be a certain kind of way, and I always thought, it's like, oh well, DEET is this some crazy. That's the chemical they use in mosquito sprays. DEET. I don't know what it's an acronym for, but anyway, really harsh, strong chemical that's meant to repel mosquitoes. And I always thought you had to just load up with DEET if you had any chance of repelling mosquitoes. So in my mind, even though I knew essential oils were effective for a lot of other things, I still was like, I'm the kind of person where, there could be a whole group of people, no one's getting bit, and I just am getting like just devoured. So I thought, no way, it would just simple essential oils be really able to repel mosquitoes like that. And that was the first hike this entire year since the weather started to warm up that I've been on that I haven't gotten destroyed by mosquitoes. The first one, and I literally I looked at the little spritz bottle, and I barely used any of it. Just a few little on the arms, legs, neck, and they left me alone. It was amazing. So I'm gonna do a lot more experimentation with that with this little blend that I made, and yeah, so I'm very excited that I have this.
Yeah, no,
And it's I would so much rather have some nice smelling essential oils all over my body to repel mosquitoes than that horribly nasty chemical stuff. That DEET. Oh my goodness.
yeah, I can't pronounce what it stood for. I looked it up, but it's a really long chemical word that
Right.
I can't pronounce. But I thought it was used in let's see, is it banned? I think it's banned in some countries even
Oh,
because
that's right.
yeah. Anyway, yeah, I don't like that either. And that's what her parents were using. And not only that, but the aerosol isn't good for the environment either. So it's like a double whammy because you're using something that's probably not good for you, and it's putting stuff into the atmosphere.
Right.
Anyway, what other fun things? Well, I'm glad you got to have a mosquito-free experience. That means we get to go on a lot more different hikes now instead of
Yeah.
having to wait for fall. Because I've been with them before, where I'm like, "Ooh, let's go that way." He's like, "No, no, no, no. There's too many mosquitoes down that way, and we have to stay on this."
Yeah, yeah, I think I'm good now. I got it down. Well, that was the other one, peppermint. I put some peppermint in there. Yeah, but yeah, just and I'll maybe I'll play around with some different blends too. But I think the one that I used was, I mean, it
Well,
was pretty effective.
peppermint will be good too as a spray because if you're hot, it could double as like a hot flash type of relief, like because it's a vascular
Mm,
dilator, so it will help to. And we put that in our hot flash pen for like women in menopause and things like that. There's like a pen that we have with clary sage, peppermint, some other things that helps to let the hot flash pass more quickly because it's a vascular dilator. So that could be
oh, that's cool.
twofold. When you're really hot, it'd be like, yeah.
There we go. And there's eucalyptus in there too. So yeah,
Well, yeah, that's a good one, I guess.
what does that mean? What
No,
was that reaction?
well,
You know,
eucalyptus is good. Well, not my first choice for an inspector plant, I guess, but it's a good one.
well, it was on the Google, so Google
Yeah,
said it was good. So I don't know.
yeah. And if you're just tuning in, if you have any questions, comments, it does not have to be on topic. We welcome anything on your mind, and we can definitely diverge the conversation. I don't know what word is appropriate there, but we can take the conversation wherever you like to go if you have certain questions and things. Let's see. What else is on your mind, or is that it?
Oh man, I don't know. um, yeah. You got anything? I don't know.
Maybe
We
not.
fizzled out already at 18 minutes.
I don't know. It's maybe it's we're not used to being on this late. Maybe we're just not in our stride here.
I don't
But
know. I feel like we had some good momentum, and then something happened.
I don't know. Yeah, we ran out of your little crazy dimensional talk. But just I guess a note on dimensions is like we had this on a show where we had Michelle Falcone on, and she was talking about how when humanity is so focused on one thing, like we were focused on the pandemic, we're focused on the protests and things, that when there's all these multiple realities, because in quantum physics they say that all possibilities happen on alternate timelines. So like think Star Trek episodes and things like that. But when all of a species is focused on a single event, realities with those events can start cascading into one another and collapsing. So just on a fun reality note, if you feel like you walk into the grocery store and it feels completely foreign to you, this was my experience just a few weeks ago. Like all these people, I'm like, these people, like I don't know if I don't fit in here or these people are just from somewhere else, but it was like the sense that things are really kind of snapping together, and creates a whole different vibe to places that I'm really familiar with, and it's just like, whoa, something's different. I'm not sure exactly what, but one of the things I attribute that to are as these things are kind of collapsing in, and we're having a more of a unified experience together. Anyway, food for thought. Yeah.
Yeah, no, definitely. There have been times when I've come across like places in the metro parks or even like stores I've been to where I know I've been to these places hundreds and hundreds of times, and I'm like, just the arrangement of things and everything. I'm like, this is off. This is different.
Actually, it happened
Um,
to us on our trail when we went with your friend Steven, and I was there with my kids. To their
yeah,
dismay, they walked a 14-mile hike. We keep going, and they're like, "When are we going to be back?" I'm like, "Well, whenever we turn around, that's halfway." Because
and they still didn't. We said that multiple times. They still didn't understand.
yeah, until we turned back, and then they realized that all the time it took us to get to that point, that's how long it was taking to get back to the car. They were not exactly happy. But I remember we were walking on the trail, and we both became aware of like this being or something, and almost like going through a portal or underneath it or whatnot. And when we came back, like it was like a whole different trail. There were like parts that we didn't recognize to the point where we were wondering, are we walking back at the right way? Like it was just really something out of time and space. But
And this is a trail I've walked a good number of times as well. And there were parts walking past. I'm like, I don't remember any of this. Yeah, it was it was really wild. And then there were like some parts that we would come across where there were like signs that we had been there before, like something that Hank dropped, and um,
allegedly.
allegedly. It was picked up, at least in that new reality we were in. But yeah, no, it is. You know, and that was something I'll never forget. I think it was 2, 3 years ago. I was on a hike with a friend, and this was my first experience with like realities shifting and all of that. And before I like conceptually knew that like was probably possible, but I never had an experience with it. And we were walking through Cuyahoga Valley National Park, and we were trying to make our way back to the car, and we came around this corner. And I'm just completely unfamiliar with anything, so I have no, I'd never been. He was familiar with the trail, I wasn't, and he looks and he's like, oh my gosh, he's like, that thing wasn't there before, was it? I'm like, I don't know, I have no idea where we are. And he's like, no, this is all completely different. He's like, we shifted realities. And I'm like, that happens? What? I'm like, are you serious right now? What's going on? And then like slowly over like ever since that experience, I've started to have certain things happen where I'll never forget. Like the first time I kind of experienced something on my own, I was actually during a massage with someone. I was looking over at like there was like a little light or something on the table, and then all of a sudden the whole room and everything did like this, where like, so here's my like field of vision, it's like this, everything kind of went like, and it just like snapped back and forth, and then like things were kind of different, and I was like, and if prior to this experience I didn't have any knowledge of like reality shifting, I probably would have been kind of freaked out, but I was just kind of, that's really interesting, I wonder what that was about. So I continued, finished the massage, and didn't really think. Well, I thought I was trying to kind of figure out what happened, but then more and more of that stuff started to happen, and then I met Hank, and then it was just a whole other level of all of this stuff.
Oh yeah, time and space. Like that's one of the things that my mind wraps very easily around.
So I laughed so hard when this happened, but it was our first time we met up for a hike in person, and I can't remember what exactly happened, but Hank is like, we're in a different reality. This isn't the same reality we left on the hike for. And then we're driving back to Holistic Health and Healing where I left my car. And he's like, I hope my house is still there.
You never know.
And I just busted out laughing. And I was like, only in a conversation between two shamans is it possible to casually make the comment of, I hope my house is still there. I hope this is the same reality.
Well, and that happened too on the initiations. You were at the Rocky River Nature Center, and everything was different too.
Rocky River Nature Center I have been to more times probably than most people that live around here. I go there probably at least 3 times a week. And it was the first day of the initiations, and I walked up to, there are these, the area before you walk in, there are these giant square boulders is the only way I can describe them, but they're for sitting on. And like they would like to move those. If they had moved those things, there'd be major signs of construction and things. And I was just there not that long ago, so I know they didn't move them. But I got there, and I'm like, none of these are in the right place. That garden wasn't over there. That wasn't there. It was just all completely different. And yeah, so I was aware that I had stepped into it, a
Right.
slightly different version of that reality.
Yeah. And I would suggest if you think that you've had these experiences too, if you're watching, have a little journal or something like that, because if you're especially when you first start becoming aware of these things, it's really fleeting like a dream. It's like something
Yeah.
changed, and then like if you don't write it down or you don't make a note to really keep that knowledge, you won't even be able to remember what was different, a minute later, because it's just like that. When you wake up, you had the dream and it's gone. So you really, if you like to just start becoming more and more aware of when that happens, then it's fun to start asking questions. Well, what new possibilities are available in this reality that weren't available in the old reality, and start playing with it, and the
So
doors just open up.
I just had this memory of while we're talking about this, of one of my earliest experiences of sort of being like conscious of that happening, but not knowing what was going on at the time. I So my family, for Christmas every year when I was living at my parents' house, we would get out this Christmas tree. It was like a fake one. It wasn't a real like live Christmas tree. But we would set it up. It was really big, and then we would spend time as a family like decorating it, putting all these ornaments out. And it was just kind of like a comforting thing in the holiday to have that big like tree with all the ornaments and everything. And it was just kind of like good vibes and everything around all of that. And then I remember one year. Uh, we'd done it every single year, and then this year it was kind of getting past the time we normally did it. And I asked my dad, I was like, "Dad, are we not going to get that Christmas tree out and do that?" He looks at me and he's like, "Casey, we haven't done that for 10 years." I'm like, no. We've done that every single year. I'm like, we just did that last year. We've been doing that every year. He's like, "Casey, we haven't done that for 10 years." Like, and I was like, no
you know
way.
And I'll tell you, this whole thing gives me a whole new appreciation. Like, I know you don't have kids, but when kids say that they're so sure of something, and then as a parent, you're like, no, no, that's not. But like, what is their experience really? How easily do they shift back and forth in realities? And the dad in that reality just said, go for it. Now this dad's like, hell no, right? It's like
Yeah.
I give them a little bit more leeway with things because I don't know really what their experience is and how they're shifting and being in this space.
And speaking of that, even interacting with adults, I have a whole new. I think it really does create more ease around a lot of things when you have that understanding that these sort of things do happen, because sometimes people are so sure they're like, well, no, this is the way that happened. And people get really adamant about defending what they think is the way that like it happened, and then other people would argue like, no, I remember it happening it this way. This was the way it happened. So, but now, and I have people say that. And I think maybe they think I don't know what their opinion is when I say this, but I'll go, yeah, no, like in your reality, that's what happened. But in my reality, I had a different experience. And I'm not saying that out of like, trying to be like ego, like from an ego thing. I'm just like really like, wow, that's interesting. We had two completely different realities that we experienced. And yeah, so it puts
I forget the name of the book. Gary Douglas recommends it from Access, but it's like the same story, written from four totally different perspectives, and it's the same events, but they're experienced in very different ways. And even if you're not reality switching, just based on the filters and the goggles that we're using to look through life, we can have very different perceptions around the same experience. So,
right,
with that in mind, and the thing that comes to mind most is like my dear brother Brian on the path. He has a lot more of these experiences with a conspiracy-like type of energies, and it's not that it's just in his reality that all that stuff is really happening. And in my reality, I don't have all that stuff happening, but we still have this common meeting ground where we're sharing our experiences. And to me, things are like, well, that doesn't happen in my reality, but it doesn't mean it's not happening in his.
right.
And it's really interesting talking with him, and we have people watch that are be able to receive from both of us, and that's what makes this space so amazing, is that we can have these moments where we're coming together and meeting, and if we can be open to being an allowance of where the other person is, we can really have this amazing experience and these amazing possibilities arise from it, instead of now getting stuck in duality and relating to them saying, oh, well, only one of us could have it the right way. No,
Right.
no, this is an amazing universe that
It
things
is.
like this can happen.
No, it is. It's so incredible when you start to see life in like a multi, like faceted reality sort of way. I mean, you're able to appreciate um, everyone's experience as being valuable and very real to them, while also knowing that all of the realities are equally real and unreal at the same time. Like from the one-ality truth, all of it is illusion and there's only oneness. But in the duality reality, all of these numerous realities are equally real and valuable. So yeah, it's really cool when you start to see things that way and interact with the world, knowing that the reality you're experiencing is your reality. And like when two people come together, it's like the converging of two. You have no idea what that person's reality is like until you come together with them, and then for that time, you're sharing a co-creational reality. You go your separate ways. Who knows whether or not you're still
Yeah, we might even
experiencing,
have different presidents in the office in your reality and my reality. We don't know.
right?
You know? And I don't even know that when I'm talking that you're hearing the same words that I think I'm saying. You might be receiving something totally different, and your conversation's completely different from mine.
Right.
It's kind of loopy when you think about it.
Yeah. And there are fun things I've seen too, where people play with like just how our sort of how to put it, how like our filters shape reality. I remember this guy played on a TED talk this audio, and it was just completely garbled. Just it sounded like, I mean, it didn't sound like words or music or anything. And he played that audio, and then he said, "Okay, now I'm going to tell you that when you listen to that audio, you're going to hear the words Susan went to the grocery store." And then it was the same audio he played, but you could clearly hear it saying Susan went to the grocery store. And he's like, "Now go back, watch the recording of this. That wasn't two separate audio clips. That was the same audio clip. But you had the filter and the idea that it was going to say that, and so you clearly heard it placed on top of that garbled noise." And I went back and I rewound, and it was the same audio. And then there's these other things too, these really interesting ones where they'll play like an audio clip, and I saw the one video. There's multiple examples of this that are going through my
I
head.
heard one on the radio where like some people hear one thing and other people hear the other.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah, but then there was another one where it was just a clip of like someone yelling, and there was like 30 different things on the screen written, and it was like, okay, read each one of these and you'll hear this person yelling saying 30 different things depending on what you're reading. And it was just like a clip of someone yelling, and you would hear, and every single line you read as it was playing, you'd hear it say that, then you'd read the next one and it would say a different thing, and then you could go back forth and like just switch at random and you would hear it saying whatever you were reading. So it's pretty wild.
Well, it's kind of like looking at clouds in the sky. Like one person sees one thing, but once they tell you what they see, now, oh, I see that too. But if they didn't say it, you would have 30 people seeing 30 different things in the sky.
That was, speaking of reality. So that one of those parts of that reality I was trapped in this morning. I just remembered this. I don't know if it was me and you walking or something, but I looked up at the clouds and I was like, you know what? I'm going to do some cloud bursting, and I was going to like burst these clouds, and I sent this energy toward the cloud. Instead of it bursting, the cloud turned into a god, like this, like a Roman or Greek god, and this got like cloud god came and like just became this giant thing and like reached his hand out toward me, and then I looked back and looked up, and then he was like settling back into the clouds, and I looked over at whoever I was with and I was like, "Did you see that?" And they were like, "See what?" And I was like, "Man, I don't know what reality you're experiencing, but in my reality some crazy stuff is happening right now." I remembered that. Wow, that was so vivid. It was so incredibly vivid. Yeah, wow, that was
Well,
wild.
I'm glad we were able to prompt another memory from that.
Yeah. That was pretty amazing. All right. Well, how do we feel? That was a pretty magical episode so far. Do we want to
No,
call it?
I think we're good, and we're not having comments. So if people aren't wanting to go down any other rabbit holes, we'll call it a day. A couple things coming up, just to mention though. Next Wednesday, I have to put it on the website, but you'll be able to register at stircrazyshamans.com for next Wednesday's group healing session. If you register online, you'll be able to, well, just include you in the opening ceremony a little bit more individually rather than just a group opening. So we're planning to do that, I believe, next Wednesday. I
This
should
one's
have
the
asked.
8th, right?
Yeah, I should have asked Casey first because the first time he's heard about it, but we were.
That
But
should be okay.
yeah, on the 8th.
Yep.
And then the other thing is on the 11th, I am teaching an Access Bar certification class. It is limited to 5 people, not 5 people, 10 people, uh, to keep the people in the center at a minimum. But that's going to be at Holistic Health and Healing. You can register at hhh.life if you're interested in becoming an Access Bars practitioner. And then other streams coming up tomorrow. I'm on with the doctor. We're talking about emotions tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. And I think that is all. Oh, next Tuesday, I'm on with Sean Phillips. We're going to have our Conversations with God discussion group on Tuesday. And then Casey and I will be on, of course. Well, it is a holiday weekend, but maybe we can sneak away and do an episode in the forest if we're lucky. I think that
Yeah,
would be good. And,
definitely.
and
And my stuff. Let me double check really quick here with the date. But yes. So tomorrow, this Friday, tomorrow, the 3rd. I is my official how to put it, debut at the New Moon in Lakewood. So I'm going to be there doing shamanic healing by donation. If you're in the Northeast Ohio area, you want to stop at the New Moon in Lakewood. They're just little 5 to 10 minute shamanic healing sessions focusing on like one painful or emotionally blocked area. Stop on in for some healing.
okay, so that's just walk in. There's no appointments for that New Moon one.
Yeah, just
Okay.
walk-ins. Yep.
Which reminds me, today I'm at Goddess Elite. So if you're interested in working one-on-one with me, I have 5 o'clock open. I'm already booked earlier, so I'm going to be free from like noon to 2:30, and then after 5, the rest of the time is counted for at the moment. But if you're interested in a personal session, you can head over there. And then Casey's website, shamanswayhealing.com, so
Yep.
you can book a virtual session or in-person session. And my website is my name, which I just realized we don't have our name things up.
Oh, we
so
don't.
so people don't know who we are, but there we are. There's our names, so you know who's who. Casey. But so my website is just hanksutala.com, of course, without the space, and you can book virtually or in person. And Casey's website is shamanswayhealing.com. And I believe if you just go to stircrazyshamans.com, which is loaded on the bottom, there's an About Us page that has information about us and links to our website. So you could also just go to our site and then click over through if you do want to work with us. Because I have finally opened up my schedule because I wasn't taking clients, but now I am. So if you're interested, you can get all intuitive and facilitized if you like.
Yes. Yes,
All
reach
right.
out to us. I want to thank everyone for their energy and their attention today. Thank you for being present and for being open to, hearing about and possibly experiencing some of this stuff. The realities are so magical when you start to open up and really pay attention to these things, to just experience more and more of this incredible magic every day.
Yeah. And ask yourself this question every day, just in closing: what possibilities are available to me in this reality today? And how could I open myself up to even more possibility if I were to slightly shift my realities? Because what if you could actually cause a shift that will cause more possibilities for yourself? Don't wait for it to happen. What if you could choose it to happen and help to create the reality around you more easily and more potently? How fun would that be?
Absolutely.
All right. But a Nike, a Nike, a Nike. Thank you, everyone. And we
Thank
will
you. Thank
catch
you.
you next
Thank you.
time.